Tighten your lines as we get ready to sail the 7 seas on the Political Pirate Podcast. Join Captain Ted Yoho and the salty dog John Martin as they search far and wide for the greatest treasure of all, the truth. From local Florida news to nationwide stories and the globe beyond, we've got it all mapped out. Now here's your hosts, the salty dog John Martin and Captain Ted Yoho.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 3 Ps, the Political Pirate Podcast with your host, the old salty dog, John Martin. And from Weelaca, Florida nowadays, calling home there, none other than the captain of our pirate ship, Mr. Ted Yoho.
Good morning, John. How are you doing? And this is Weelaca, Florida, the fishing capital of the world, bass capital of the world.
If people don't know where Weelaca is, it's right next to Satsuma. It's near Palatka, by the way.
If you know where Palatka is, we're 13 miles south of in the town of Weelaca.
There you go.
Right on the St. Johns River.
We got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about some national topics that are impacting people locally here and everything else, everything in between. But before we go any further, I want to take a little bit of a special privilege, so to speak, because our area, and when I say our area, really the whole southeastern United States, but certainly the foundations were literally right here, not too far from where I live. We lost a legend, Ted, over the last couple of days.
We sure did.
Sonny Tillman, that Sonny's Barbecue started with a little cart, literally a stand off there on Waldo Road, then opened up a store. And 96 years old, he was preceded by his wife about 5 or 6 years ago. Sonny, I know he was a friend of yours. He was a very family friend of mine. And man, I mean, we could do a whole show on that gentleman. He was a huge Gator fan, University of Florida. He was a philanthropist. He gave so many people opportunities. I mean, there's just no end to what I could say. The main thing I'm going to say, Ted, and I'll turn it to you, is I'm just going to miss my friend.
Yeah, really. I mean, I met Mr. Tillman, Sonny, back when I was an assistant veterinarian. The Dr. Anderson, who I worked with, we'd go out to his farm and we did his cattle work. And I had the pleasure of taking that on, and I worked his farm all the way through until I retired. Just great people and just humble. Him and Lucille, both very humble people, very successful, and they were the American dream. In fact, I might have shared this with you. When I first ran for Congress, I was contemplating, what is the main message? It's the American dream was under attack. So I started asking people like Mr. Tillman. I says, if you could start over again today, could you reach the same level of success? He didn't hesitate. He says, Ted, he goes, I don't even think I could start today with the rules and regulations and the permitting that the government makes you jump through. And he wasn't the only successful business person. A lot of them said that. And, we're going to miss Sonny. We'll always eat his barbecue and think of him. And he left a great legacy. He was a great supporter of ours, but he'll always be known as a great booster for the Florida Gators.
Yeah, and if people in the area are interested in the services for him, look at Williams Thomas Funeral Home. They have all the details there. That is a very local, literally an institution in and of itself. And
boy, it sure is.
Viewing and the funeral itself is all open to the public. I think the burial will actually be private. But if you're interested in that, just go to Williams Thomas Funeral Home. You can easily look it up, and they'll have all the details there. But I say, Ted, I know you feel the same way. Bottom line is I will miss my friend. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I got to, I knew their whole family and worked on their horses and cattle and some dogs. He will be missed.
Absolutely. Well, Ted, you mentioned the fact that you kind of got to know Sonny a little bit through farming, and you were literally out in the field. People may not know this about you. I know you've talked about it, but you were and are, but I don't think you're practicing anymore, a large animal vet, and that put you in touch with farmers quite a bit. And really, I think it's fair to say that the farmers' support is really what put you over the top, I think, in your run for Congress. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they certainly did. These are the salt of the earth people. I mean, I didn't get paid to go out there. They called me to see if I could intervene and help expedite these petitions for the farm laborers. And I was happy to do it because I've known these people for over 30 years. And you could see the panic that they were having. And it's not just them. I met with a farm group or talked to somebody that represents a farm group statewide. And he says it's not just in Alachua. It's the growers with strawberries and citrus all over the state of Florida are having a hard time getting their workers in. And it's something Congress should have fixed. We worked on it, and it still isn't fixed.
Yeah, we're going to talk about overall agriculture and issues in the United States, but we're going to get real specific right here because, they say all politics is local.
Yeah,
and
really.
This story really is a prime example of that. But we'll play this video in just a moment. But Ted, you kind of alluded to it, but before I'll let you introduce the video. This was off of our local ABC affiliate, TV 20 WCJB, and I want to give them credit for that,
sure,
being out there. But Ted, tell us about what led up to you going out there and a little bit about it. Then we'll play some of the video and we'll come back and talk about it.
Yeah, the thing that led up to this is the shortage of farm workers. A farmer, when he gets labor, he goes through a labor contractor. They look at what they used last year as far as labor. They make an estimate, and we're going to need this many workers to come in. So they contract with somebody in August, September. That contractor puts in the petitions with the United States National Immigration Services to bring those workers in. They do that 1st of November. It's usually a 10-day to a 2-week process, but because of the government shutdown, they've revamped that office and made some changes. Here we are, second week of December. They still don't have their workers, the crop's ready, and they're kind of panicking because they're not getting response from other sources that they've reached out to. And so they took a chance and reached out to me. I've contacted Susie Wiles, people that work for Susie Wiles, who's President Trump's chief of staff. We reached out to TV 20 just to get the national spotlight on this, to where the president may see what's going on in Florida here, his home state. And that's what led to this. And this is the farmer I've known. Like I said, I knew this guy, Stephen Davis, I think when he was running around in diapers. And I did work for their family farm for probably 30 years. And they called me out of a desperation. And we got the TV crew up there to look at this and really just bring the spotlight of what's going on. And this is not just Alachua County. Like I said, this is the whole state. It's the whole Southeast. And I'm happy TV 20 came out, other than they said in the video, they said I was a lobbyist, a paid lobbyist. I'm not a lobbyist. Never have been, never will be, never registered. I do policy advising. So other than that, they did a great job coming out.
Well, if you see me smiling, Ted, it's because you triggered a thought in me. I can see
that's my
dad,
job, John. That is my job.
My dad was a farmer and a rancher back in the day, and I can see. You said you knew this gentleman we're about to introduce since he was in diapers, and I can see you coming over to like our house to look at a cow, and my dad saying something about me being sick, and my mom saying something, and my dad literally going, "Well, he's a doctor, ain't he?"
I'm not going to weigh into that.
Yeah, I can see my dad saying he's a doctor, ain't he? Let him look.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's play this video and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Sure.
I'm 2 weeks behind, but all of the, this is fixing to get very critical. You see, I have hundreds of acres, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's, it's happening now. It's not tomorrow, the next, it's now.
Former Congressman Ted Yoho, who was a veterinarian and is now a lobbyist for a firm in Washington, D.C., says Davis isn't alone.
The biggest thing we see is that it puts these farmers in jeopardy. You've got, hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million of input costs. And if you can't pick that crop, it's a perishable crop. It goes to waste.
Yoho says the uncertainty surrounding labor is also affecting the next generation.
That population is aging out. The next generation's not going to want to come into this because of the uncertainties of labor mainly. I mean, we've got enough uncertainty with weather and all that other stuff. But then you look at that next generation. Do they want to do this, really?
These delays come after the federal government shutdown, which Davis says shifted staff away from processing applications, leaving farms across the Southeast without answers. He filed paperwork for about 40 workers and is just hoping to get 30.
If they didn't show up for the season, I'd lose better than $1 million, more than $1 million, far more than $1 million.
Well, there you have it. He was talking about losing potentially over $1 million, and that's some real cabbage there, my friend. I mean,
Good
the
point.
thing that I've had a couple conversations with some people over the last couple of days since you and I talked about this. Then I watched the video, and quite a few of them have chimed in that they're leery of this worker program. They want to get back to us doing all the work, which really never happened. I mean, we had migrant workers and stuff like that since before I was born. But the reality is that, there may be other solutions we need to look at. There may be other things, but we're talking about right now. And right now, there's no time to even try to implement some of that, because not only would the guy needs them in a right now, but it might take years to fully implement something like that.
I grew up starting about 15. I worked at the Pompano Beach Farmers Market, and it was seasonal. And I could work 3 days a week, and I would start about 3 in the afternoon, work till 12 or 1 in the morning, go to college. But back then, and this was back in the early 70s, I was making $200 a week. And that was a lot. That was good money back there. My first year out of high school, I made over $10,000, which was about $2,000 more my teachers were making, because I went and talked to them. And so this is something people in America can do. The high school students, talking to these farmers, and I know this to be true because I've talked to farmers, with strawberries and all kinds of different crops. They get paid by the piece. The worker gets paid by the piece. So if you hustle and you work hard, they're going to make $200 to $300 a day doing this kind of work. And you'll start in the morning. You probably get off at least by 2, and you don't have to do it every day. But if you can commit, 2 or 3 days a week, you're making $600 a week for really kind of part-time work. It's hard, but it's also rewarding, John. And I think we've gotten away from that. When I was on the Ag Committee, the Democrats would argue with me, do you think our kids are going to work in the fields? We're not going to let our kids work in the fields. And I'm like, somebody's got to work in the fields if you want to eat. And I think there's a stigma. And of course, the black Democrats tied into slavery. I didn't go through that. I was hungry. I was broke. I needed the money, and I welcomed the work. And I was real thankful for it. And I know these farmers will too. I know some farmers run programs through their high school, and kids will come out and work their tails off, and they make good money. And I think we need to get back to that in this country. The other side of this, John, is this is an ongoing issue that shouldn't be an issue. Congress has the ability to fix this. We had a great guest worker program. We had a lot of national support. I left Congress because of my term limit pledge. The office that took me over, they have that same bill and the same possibilities of getting this passed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the shutdown impacted all kind of things, and obviously this farm worker program that the gentleman is dealing with impacted it a great deal. So I'm hoping in the short term that they can resolve this and the gentleman won't lose it, because I'm sure you could multiply this 100-fold, not only across Florida, but across the United States, because the same thing is happening all over the place.
Well, it is. And if you look at agriculture in Florida, most of the time it is the number one economic driver for Florida, for income in Florida. It's agriculture. People think it's tourism or construction. They can go and be that, but most of the time, consistently, agriculture is the largest industry in Florida. And that's true for most of the states in the country. And the other thing is trade policies affect our farm community, especially in the Southeast. The USMCA, which is United States Mexico Canadian Free Trade Agreement that replaced NAFTA, is a disaster for Southern farmers because it allows Mexico produce to come in at the same growing seasons. We have the same growing seasons. And when that happens, what happens is Mexico has cheap labor. They don't have the EPA and pesticide standards that we have. So they bring that product in, and we know it's a given fact that they'll bring produce in from Mexico, rebox it as produce from America, and it's cheating, and we know this is going on. And the bottom line is, it's in direct competition with our American farmers.
Yeah, and we talk about China controlling pharmaceuticals and rare earth minerals and all of that stuff is critically important. I don't deny that whatsoever. But we forget that if we become dependent on another nation to literally feed us, let alone pick our crops, but to literally feed us, then we really are prisoners of it.
We really are. We really are. And along that lines, you brought up China. China owns Syngenta. Syngenta controls over 30% of our agricultural seeds. China also controls the vitamins and minerals that go into our livestock feed. And the list just goes on. I mean, we could do a month's program on just China and what's going on there. But anyways, I'm glad you brought this up, and I'm glad TV20 came out to highlight the plight of the American farmer here locally, which is really nationally.
Absolutely. So I want to expand it a little bit more to really the whole United States in a sense. But President Trump this week announced that a $12 billion program to help farmers that apparently have been affected to a certain extent by the tariffs. And he's saying that he's going to give them $12 billion out of tariff money. Now, that's great, but you're talking about a minuscule amount of money. I'm not saying he's got to give more or whatever, but I want to read a couple statistics, Ted, because this kind of floored me, and I'm sure you know pretty much all of this, but these are figures from 2023, which is the most up-to-date I could get. The total value of U.S. agricultural is approximately $1.5 trillion. Now, that's not just crops, but that's the land and everything else. It represents about 5.5% of the U.S. gross domestic product. And food and related industries, with the output of American farms accounting for about $222.3 billion of this total, the actual farming out there. So, there's got to be a short-term solution for farmers like this gentleman that you met with in Alachua, but there's also got to be some type of long-term solution. And as much as I may support or not this $12 billion, it is a short-term Band-Aid, if you will.
It is.
Talk about that and talk about what you see as potential long-term solutions.
Well, you're absolutely right. And keep in mind, you got to put things in perspective. The agricultural community, those people out there producing agricultural products for us to eat, is about 1.5% of the total population in America. They're 65 years old and older on an average. And so they're aging out. We need people to replace them. But to go back into that industry, you've got to get rid of the uncertainties. You can't do anything about the weather. Your trade policies, you can adjust those, and bad trade policies, fix them as quick as you can. And that's what Trump's doing with these tariffs. But those tariffs effects or relief that he's giving is going to your grain farmers, mainly going to soy, corn, wheat, barley, the big crops, which is not your row crop people that produce your vegetables and things like that. And one of the variables that Congress can fix that doesn't need a bailout is a working guest worker program that is something the farmers can depend on, that allows those workers to come in here. We're not looking to import illegal immigrants. We're looking to bring in people that are vetted. They get a card that says they're here as ag workers, and it allows them to go back home and come back in for a period of time. That's what our bill did, and that's something that Congress can do really to fix this. Most of the farmers, they don't want to bail out. fact, all of them I know, they have pride in what they do. They just want the ability to farm and get rid of as many variables as you can. And I just think it's an important thing to do. And it's a national security issue, John. As you said, if we don't have food security, you don't have a secure nation. George Washington said that 200 plus years ago.
Yeah, and as a kind of a side little trivia note, I remember a few years back that I saw a statistic that showed kind of how much America has changed just in the last, say, 100 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
That in like 1898,
right,
98% of the American people worked in agriculture in some form of capacity.
Right.
Only 2% worked for somebody else, like in a factory or something like that. 100 years later, in 1998, the numbers were flipped. Only 2% at that time, I'm sure it's even less now, worked in some form of agriculture and worked for themselves, were self-employed. Right. And 98% worked for somebody else, including the government and all that. I've always thought that was a fascinating
term. It really is, and that's exactly right. And you think of the food security we've always had in this country. I mean, we have been blessed. And now you're relying on 1.5% of the total U.S. population producing that food, and they're a declining population. And, you've heard me talk about this before. Historically, Americans paid about 6.25% of discretionary income. That means the money left over after you pay everything else, we spend on our food. The majority of the world spending 15 to 20%. And sad but true, we're heading to that. So people think cost of food is expensive now. It's going to go way up here. Within 5 years, you're going to be paying probably double what we're paying.
Yeah, don't even get us started on government stores and stuff like Mandami's talking about. I don't know if you saw, we need to go to commercial break here in a second, but I don't know, a side note, if you saw this, I probably should have pulled up the video, but Mandami a couple of days ago said, when asked about the free buses, he said he had no idea how he was going to pay for them. He literally admitted that. It's great.
But it sounded good on the campaign trail.
Yeah, I guess we give him credit for being honest about it now.
Free Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms.
Yeah, free. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. I hope you'll support our sponsors. I hope you'll become a sponsor. If you'd like to be one, look at the little tagline that says Contact Freddie. Make that call because we need your help to keep getting this message out. Take us to break, Ted.
Let's go to break, and we appreciate all of our sponsors and appreciate people passing the word around. Talk to you in a minute.
Although the owner of Lewis Oil Company maintains she is 29, Lewis Oil turns 60 years old in June. Chevron would like to recognize the North Florida second-generation family-owned business, celebrating its growth and staying power. Lewis Oil Company maintains significant on-hand supplies, strategically located fuel depots, a delivery fleet, on-site service, fuel card locks, and convenience stores. Lewis Oil Company understands its responsibility in the local economy by providing service and delivery on demand and in crisis. As a first responder for 18 Florida counties and the Southeast from Texas to Virginia, we are proud of this rare accomplishment. Lewis Oil delivers.
This is Ward Scott, and I want to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. The Ward Scott Files premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care.
Meldon Law, the only official injury partner of the Florida Gators.
The Ward Scott Files gold sponsors are Lewis Oil Company,
Shoot GTR,
On the Spot Dry Cleaners, R&R Construction, and Style Cuts. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, www.wardscottfiles.com, and click on the Advertise Here banner on the right side of the page, or call my friend Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the Ward Scott Files. And remember, if you like the show, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. May God have mercy on your soul.
Or that very much surprises me that you've never been tased.
You can't handle the truth.
All bees poop.
A warthog. He's going to come up the steps. Here he comes. Oh my goodness, and he's huge. Hello, boy. I wonder if we can pet him. Hi, boy.
Can we touch him? No, don't.
Help me! Help! Help!
Well, Ted, every time I see that end of that commercial break, I think about you. Did you ever have to treat a war dog?
Never had to treat a war dog, but I've treated a lot of warts on hogs.
I hear you. Well, we're going to switch gears because, there's been some elections in the past month. The Mayor Mandami getting elected, of course, the governor of New Jersey, and they switched in Virginia and went Democrat after having a Republican. And there's been a lot read into what that means and what happened in Tennessee, even though the Republicans held on to that seat. It was closer than they think. So there's been a lot of talk about, how if the Democrats are getting momentum or not. But there was an election in Florida this past week that actually kind of shows that they might be, because in Miami, Miami's divided up. That is the city of Miami, and there's the Miami Metro-Dade, and they each have what they call a mayor. But the mayor of Miami has been a been a Republican for the last 28 years, even though it's a Democrat district. And Trump, of course, won down there pretty handily in the presidential election, but a Democrat won the mayoral election in spite of the fact that the Republican candidate, and I don't know much about him, but he was endorsed by Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, but the Democrat won. What do you read into that, if anything, right now, Ted?
I think that's something we really need to be aware of. The New York City race with Madami, that was a Democrat city. So it would have been hard for anybody but a Democrat to win. Washington State, that elected that mayor in that city, in Seattle, I think it was, Democrat stronghold. Same with New Jersey and Virginia, Democrat stronghold. So I don't take those as wins for the Democrats. I mean, they're probably going to win anywhere. The Tennessee one, I think, was a strong indicator. It was a close race, but the Republican pulled through on that. The Miami one is disconcerting. I don't know much about the candidate that lost, the Republican. I know he's been in public service for quite a long time. And, we're going to see where this goes. I think it's interesting because Ellen Higgins, I think Mayor-elect Higgins won because of her commitment to restore trust in Miami government, tackle the city's housing affordability crisis, shield small businesses from increased uncertainty in Trump's disastrous economy, and make our streets safe for every Miami resident. She won because of you. And so, those are all great talking points that politicians do. It's like Madami, we're going to have free buses, but now he's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. And so this lady, she won on slogans and things like that. We'll see what she does. And, this is all reason that we have to get people involved in the process. And that's what our whole show is about: educating, motivating, and activating. And it's time to wake up. I think it's scary on some of these other new reels you've got coming up, especially that representative out of Michigan. The face of America is changing, and you and I have talked about this. The thing that we have to do is fight to preserve the core values and the fundamental principles that give rise to America and what it stands for. So,
yeah, just a little bit deeper on the actual candidates themselves. Higgins,
I don't want to go too deep. I leave that to you.
Yeah, Higgins, who won, is a former county commissioner. And so I have no idea what her record was, but I say that to say that she obviously had some political experience, probably had some political connections.
Right.
Emilio Gonzalez, who lost, was an ex-city manager down there. And, of course, he had an endorsement of Trump. I don't know what kind of campaign he ran, but I would assume, just based on my general political knowledge, that the Miss Higgins probably out campaigned him because she had experience campaigning, whereas a city manager may or may not. So I really don't know. So I'm sure that was a factor in it, but she got 60% of the vote basically. So that says a lot. But you mentioned what Higgins ran on. I want to read her statement here on her election night statement, and then I'd like for you and I to kind of break it down because I think it's important. She says Miami chose a new direction. You chose competence over chaos, results over excuses, and city government that finally works for you. I mean, this to me is a very interesting statement because let me just start it right here because Miami chose a new direction. Well, in one sense, that's obviously true, but in another sense, I'm not so sure. The part where she says competence over chaos, that's a very important thing, Ted, because they being the Democrats, one of their biggest things about Donald Trump is they promote that he is an agent of chaos and he's not really competent. And I'll say this and I'll turn it back to you. And I think I mentioned this to you one time before. I knew Donald Trump was in trouble in the re-election campaign after his first term.
Sure.
And I was checkout aisle in Publix of all places. And the lady that was bagging the groceries, an older lady, she said, and I didn't start the conversation, she said that she was going to vote for Biden because she wanted to return to a feeling of normalcy. She didn't like the chaos and all that. She just wanted to calm things down again. And so I think that's actually a pretty effective message that somehow Donald Trump and the Republicans have to overcome. What are your thoughts on that portion of it?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, he's bombastic. He's out there. He's everywhere in the world. Blowing up boats, drug boats in the international waters. We see him on the stage everywhere, and it does look like chaos to some people. But out of chaos comes order. Chaos was the border under Biden and Harris. That's chaos. That's destructive chaos. The chaos we're seeing now is sifting through all that garbage that they brought upon us. I don't want to say garbage, just all that disruption of rule of law, letting people out of jails, bringing people into this country that weren't vetted, that are on terrorist watch lists. That's chaos and that's destructive to America. What Trump is doing is bringing order to that, and it's messy. And it's going to continue to be messy. And this is where we can't back off. You look at what he's done and look what Biden did. Just the 3 Supreme Court justices have saved this country as a constitutional republic for the next 30 or 40 years. Had Biden won and gotten, Merrick Garland in there, my God, can you imagine what would happen when they're going after parents in Virginia and calling them radicals and wanting to lock them up? Yeah, it is messy to the outsider looking in, but the end result will be good. And that's what people need to look at. You can't look at the moment in time now. You got to look at where we're heading. And that's, I see better days ahead.
Well, you mentioned the Supreme Court. People need to keep in mind that if the Republicans were to take the White House in a big majority in the Senate and the House, they're going to pack the court anyway and undo everything that has been done by those federal judges.
They really will. The Democrats, I mean, just go back. You want DEI everywhere? You want transgender everywhere? Do you want the confusion that we went through for those 4.5 years? And dare to speak out against that, man, you're going to get labeled as a hater and somebody's going to be investigating you. That's what people have to realize. That was the heavy hand of government. And they're talking about how Trump's weaponized the Justice Department. Give me a break. Go back and look what Biden did and Obama did. And we're bringing an end or a pause in the Obamanization of America. His radical change to fundamentally transform America. And we put a pause on it, but it's a temporary pause. As you said, if we lose the majority in the House, they will impeach him. I mean, they're impeaching people left and right now. They're putting up articles of impeachment, and it's not going to back off. And if they get the House and the Senate, he will be impeached. I mean, he will be thrown out.
Yeah, I saw a thing. I guess they had an impeachment vote again recently, and the big portion of Democrats sided with Republicans, and the news made a big deal over that. But I've told people, that sounds all well and good, but if they had the majority, they would all vote to impeach Donald Trump, except maybe 4 or 5, I would say. So that's just show right there, because they know they don't have the votes and all. But as far as
but it shows their intent. It shows their intent of what they would do in a heartbeat.
But this part right here, this next part of her statement, this is, in case you're just tuning in, we're talking about the mayor-elect of Miami, a Democrat for the first time in 28 years. She said in her acceptance statement, she said, results over excuses and city government that finally works for you. I think the results over excuses plays into the whole thing because, Donald Trump, I think mistakenly so. I'm not saying he's not correct, but the way he's phrasing it with this, that affordability is a Democratic scam and all that. I think he's making a mistake there, Ted. I mentioned this on the show the other day because, facts and feelings aren't always the same. A lot of people feel like the economy is in turmoil right now, and they're worried that their lives are okay now, but they think that they're not going to be tomorrow, kind of thing. And it doesn't matter what the facts are. If they feel that, you can't tell people how to feel. They feel how they are. So I think the results and excuses, and, people see prices rising. Here's a result, and I'll turn it back to you. Down in Miami, I'm sure is becoming less and less affordable every day. Real estate prices are going through the roof and everything else. But the reason why they're going through the roof is because of Democratic policies in places like New York that have caused people to flood down south, and Miami and people in general coming to Florida. The growth that we've had since the Biden era took over, all of those Democratic policies are triggering the unaffordability in Florida right now. But I don't think most people can really put all that together.
Well, it's a basic tenet of capitalism. It's supply and demand. You drive people out of these other states because of the terrible policies, generally Democrat policies. They drive them into our state, drives up the housing prices because, there's a big demand for houses in Florida, the free state of Florida. Governor DeSantis and the legislature has done a great job, but it's temporary, John. All this is temporary if we're not vigilant and stay to the task of preserving these things. The American dream's alive out there for everybody. And it's like this Eileen Higgins says that she's going to work at government tackle the city's housing affordability crisis. What is she going to do? Is she going to buy homes and sell them cheaper? Is she going to tell people you can't sell your home for that? I mean, this is just political gobbledygook, I'll say, instead of a bad word. What is she going to do for city to bring down the cost of a house? Is she going to get rid of the permitting process, lessen that? No, she's out in la la land. Or is she going to give everybody subsidies? I mean, that's that's the ultimate goal. I mean, Democrats love to take money from you and me to give to people. And you can't give people a house if they can't afford a house to get in it. How are they going to afford to maintain it? And it comes with the responsibility of ownership, and we should help people get that ownership, but you can't give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned about impeachment and everything else. So I want to play a series of videos that'll show you exactly what's going to happen if the Democrats take control again. Because they've talked about impeaching Donald Trump multiple times. The Hegseth's name has come out. But check this out. This is a congresswoman from Michigan just this week. Check out this video.
I am formally introducing articles of impeachment against RFK Jr. I announced my intent to start impeachment proceedings against RFK in September, and today we're doing it. Secretary Kennedy is driving up cost endangering lives, undermining public health, betraying public trust, and threatening Michigan families and our world-class research institutions. These are violations of his oath of office. We are in a public health emergency. It is time to protect science, protect lives, and to hold him accountable. Today, I am
There you have it. They're talking about, they're going to impeach everybody. You know, RFK, impeach him, and she talks about, you know, serious health threat and all of that. I mean, I want to play one more, and I'll turn it back to you, Ted. But Homeland Secretary Noem was at a hearing yesterday. This thing went off the rails, man. This is another Michigander from Detroit. And of course, he's filed articles of impeachment against Trump at least twice, I think. But the people ought to watch the whole video of his 5 minutes, but we're only going to play about a minute of it. I want you to hear what he says to Homeland Secretary Noem and what she says back to him, and that we'll come back and talk about
it. Will you resign?
Sir, I will consider your asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back his time. I'll remind members that they are entitled to ask questions during their time. Witnesses are entitled to answer those questions. Members are entitled to reclaim their time. So if we're going to have questions and answers, please allow it. You can reclaim your time if you want, but witnesses are here voluntarily. Please at least give them a chance to answer the questions that you're asking. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Pfluger, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's unfortunate that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle for 5 straight years.
I'm not sure if it came out right or not there, Ted, but that gentleman from Michigan, he literally said to Secretary Noem that if you don't resign and you don't, or if you don't get fired, will you resign? And her response was classic. She said, you know, I take the fact that you asked me to resign as a testament to how good a job I'm doing. But these people, I mean, I pity Michigan for who's representing them, but these people are literally bat crazy, aren't they?
They really are. And that representative from Michigan, Thander, is that his name? Thander. He was born in India, came over here, became an American citizen, the way you're supposed to, became a multimillionaire, lived the American dream, and now he's attacking the very system. And I know a lot of people from India that are in Congress. They've lived the American dream, but they want to tell me how bad America is. And I just don't understand them. Instead of, it's not a perfect system. We can fix this stuff, but don't tear it down. And as far as Haley Stevens, I mean, give me a break. She's wanting to impeach RFK because she says he's making America, putting us at risk, and people don't trust the government. I mean, come on. What about Anthony Fauci telling people, all this BS about where the Wuhan lab the virus came from? It came from China. It came from Wuhan, China, by the Chinese government. I mean, Ami Bera, a Democrat out of California, he and I had the first hearings of this on February of 2020. And we had determined it came out of the Wuhan lab. And so she's wanting us to trust the government and get rid of RFK. They want to vaccinate children with the COVID virus, the coronavirus vaccine, infants. And children from from infant to 12 years of age are pretty much immune to that, but they're wanting to vaccinate people. So we should trust the government. No, we need a reset in all these policies. And again, it's going to be chaotic, but out of that will come order.
Well, I love how you talk about trust the government, because so many people don't really understand that our total government under the Constitution was formed because of a distrust of government, questioning government. Let me give you a quick list of people who shouldn't trust the government beyond everybody. American Indians should never trust the government.
Never.
Right? Black Americans probably should never trust the government, right? I mean, the list Japanese probably should not trust the government. Name me someone, Ted, who should actually trust government.
Well, if we gave up our guns, we could trust the government.
It's just insane that people don't know that our government was founded on a grievance, on a gripe, and on the idea that we are trying to protect ourselves from the overreach of government. And the whole purpose of the United States was limited government, not expanded government.
And we have to bring up Tim Kaine, the great senator from Virginia. That was a vice president candidate, governor of Virginia. And he just tells you the way the Democrat mindset is. Your rights don't come from the creator, they come from government. The government will tell you where to shop because they're going to have government run stores. They're going to tell you where you're going to live because we're going to have government run housing. And if you want to see what government run housing is, look at the Soviet Union. Look at countries that had the Communist Party putting up housing. Yeah, I mean they're real attractive.
Yeah,
but you can
absolutely.
afford them. You've got to have 4 or 5 people in a 1 or 2 bedroom house. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in that hearing yesterday, I want to play one more clip from that hearing. And this guy, I mean, first of all, I was going to say this after video, but I'll say it now. When I watch stuff like this, you just wonder, how do these people, my God, get elected? I'm not even talking about their politics, but how do people this crazy actually get elected? This gentleman actually chaired the January 6th committee. But I want to play this because it is just absolutely shocking. And Secretary Noem, I got to give her credit, man. She really stood up to these people. But listen to what he says, Ted. It's just unbelievable.
And the gentleman from NCTC referenced the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
it was a terrorist.
No, wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can.
He shot our National Guardsman in the head.
Look, Mr. Chairman, will you direct?
Oh, okay. Never mind. But anyway, he sits there, Ted, and says that this unfortunate accident. He's talking about when the 2 National Guards troops were shot in D.C. The woman later died. The gentleman apparently is recovering, but he's still in critical condition and probably never be the same. We certainly are praying for him and his family. But this gentleman says the unfortunate accident, and then he tries to, hem and harm about it. And Secretary Noem, to her credit, says, an accident? You're calling this an accident? They were shot in the head. I mean, these people keep getting elected to Congress, Ted. My God, man. How did you put up with these people?
Well, that's why I was real happy I served term limits and honored those. I mean, this kind of nonsense. I mean, an unfortunate accident. That's like saying that, what's the guy that killed Luigi Mangione? Killed the insurance executive. That was an unfortunate accident when he had bullets engraved, or the guy that shot Charlie Kirk had bullets engraved, die and all that nasty stuff on there. Those were unfortunate accidents. Those were intentional actions to kill people. And that's exactly what this was. And Benny Thomas, he's been there a long time. Let's thank him for his service and vote him out. I mean, get rid of these people, and don't bring any more in like your next story. We don't. She will not. This person coming up will not make the situation in Washington or the nation better.
Well, let's get right into that, because I put a title up there, a headline of this: Crockett saves Texas again. But it ain't Davy Crockett. I'll give you a hint. Miss Jasmine Crockett, who I know is now becoming your favorite member of Congress, has announced that she is running. She is running for the U.S. Senate in the great state of Texas. Now, my question, Ted, is which Jasmine Crockett are we going to see running? I want to play 2 different videos back to back here, and we'll come back and talk about it. This one is Jasmine Crockett when she first announced that she was running for Congress. And I want people to pay not attention to what she says necessarily, but how she says it. Check this out, Ted, and we'll come back.
That's right.
Appreciate it. You're a state representative, and now you are running for Congress. Why is that, and what are your priorities?
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. And so I fully anticipated that our Congresswoman would serve out at least one more term, if not more than one term, in Congress. But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat.
So, Ted, there
really
you have Jasmine Crockett when she announced a few years ago that she was going to run for Congress. Keep in mind, she's an attorney. She was a member of the Texas House of Representatives, I believe. So we're going to get that Jasmine Crockett, or check out this most recent video about 2 months ago. Or we're going to get this Jasmine Crockett.
What immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
We're going to get the Jasmine Crockett, the attorney that is speaking so civilly, or the one that says, I ain't picking no cotton, and neither are you.
I like her. I like her facial expression. You know, you ain't picking no cotton, and she's
she's better than Hillary Clinton when she goes in. I ain't no ways tired. You know, I mean, good Lord, man. Sorry, man.
She reminds me of that rapper Eminem when he had that song. Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? Please stand up. I mean, he should do a new song with a real Jasmine Crockett. Please stand up. Please stand up. Maybe you and I can do that, John.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't need any other proof that she is totally fake, regardless of whatever her policies are, which are crazy enough, she's completely fake. All you got to do is look at those two videos. What more proof do you need? I wonder if she can't pick cotton, could she pick cabbage? Maybe she could help your friend up there in the lock. No, man, it's just crazy.
You know, it really is.
She can't win. It'd be scary to think she could, but whatever.
Well, if it does, I mean, the country, you know, I hate to say it's over, but, you know, I think we're one step closer to the revolution, to the Civil War that's coming. And, you know, I hate to even think that thought in America. You know, I would hope that we could get through this. You know, just read the articles by people in other countries looking into America, and they're seeing the face of America change, which we can't stop that. But the underlying principles and the founding principles and the core values should never change, because that's the bedrock. That is your cornerstone of the foundation that has made this nation what it has. That's helped other nations. We've got a lot of things we've done wrong as a nation, and we're still doing them as far as foreign policy and things like that. But don't tear it down. Let's remake it. And, you know, if people are that dissatisfied with it, let's have a constitutional convention. As scary as that is, you know, but just don't sit there and just chip away at these things over and over again, like the Democrats want to do. So I don't know if she'd pick cotton, John. I'm kind of speechless.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like I say, all people need to do and share those. I tell people, share those videos. Share people that first video, and then say, okay, which one of these is the real Jasmine Crockett? Because that totally shows just how phony and fake she really is, ladies and gentlemen. One thing, love him, hate him, or whatever about Donald Trump, I think he is who he says he is. And I don't like everything about him either, some of his mannerisms, but I never accused him of being fake. That's for sure.
Well, you know what? That's a great point, because, again, when I was on Foreign Affairs, we were meeting with the guy out of North Korea that defected, Yoho, highest diplomat that's ever defected and lived out of North Korea. And he was talking about our presidents in the past have always been well-educated and very predictable. He goes, but this guy now, Trump's first term, he goes, nobody knows how to take him because he's so unpredictable. But yet, you know, after his first 4 years and his first year now, we know exactly what to expect out of him. he is going to be who he is. He's not going to BS you. It is who he is. And like you said, like him or hate him, you can count on it's going to be different, but he's working to make America stronger. And, he's got the attention of the European Union. He's got the attention of these other countries. And, things are changing, I think, personally, for the better.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us today. We hope you have a great weekend here. Thank you for listening to us. We hope you enjoyed as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Please support our sponsors, become a sponsor, share what we're doing far and wide, because we absolutely must educate, motivate, and activate the American people. Because Ted and I, all we want to do is save the country. That's all. That's all. Ted, take us out, sir.
No, we want to preserve for the next generations to come, and that really is our goal. And here we are in the holiday season. We've got Christmas coming up. We want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We're going to be back on Monday. We'll do it again. Happy Hanukkah and happy religious holiday that you want to celebrate. We are so blessed to be able to do that in this country. And it's by keeping the bedrock of what this country is founded on. And we have to preserve that at all costs. And thank you for listening. Thanks for sponsoring, and pass this message out. God bless you all. Take care.
Peace out, everybody.